Hello, I am Jon Najarian at the LD Micro Conference with Dr. Jeff Thramann. Dr. Jeff is an executive chairman of Aclarion, that's ACON, and welcome to the program, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. So back pain is something obviously a lot of people suffer from, and I do mean suffer. I know pain clinics across the U.S. That treat this. You're a surgeon, but what you're talking about here is non-invasive when somebody is looking at something that goes through magnetic resonance, but it's spectroscopy rather than magnetic resonance imaging.
Yeah, I mean, there's two things that happen when you have back pain. One is you have to diagnose it, and then two is you have to treat it. So there's minimally invasive ways or non-invasive ways to diagnose it, and there's non-invasive ways to treat it. What we're focusing on is really the non-invasive way to diagnose back pain. So in the past, when we would send a patient for an MRI, in an MRI, you're looking at the structure of the spine, right? The structure. So you can see these changes, and that doesn't mean they're painful.
Mm-hmm.
So a key tenet here is you can't see pain on an MRI. So as a surgeon, we're stuck looking at this MRI scan, and we can see these changes, but we don't know which level we need to operate on. What our technology does is we identify which discs are painful, and that's additional information for the surgeon so that they can do a better operation and get that patient treated the first time the correct way.
Right. And so what exactly, Doc, happens when you see this spectroscopy and you see that there's a chemical reaction, that there's acid or whatever, and how does that affect the patient in terms of that interaction with the nerve at that particular spinal point?
Yeah, so the technology that we have is called we use an MR spectroscopy. So when you go in and get a regular MRI, you're really looking at the software is just reconstructing that data to look at the structures that are there. So looking at differences, creating a structure. When you run a spectroscopy sequence on the same MRIs, you're then looking at the chemical nature of that tissue. And that data, that raw data, gets sent to our cloud servers, and we have proprietary techniques to process that data and identify the chemical nature of the chemicals that are there. We quantify them by area under the curve, and then we put that into our algorithm, and the output is which discs are painful or not.
Right, because you can't see pain, to your point, but you can see that if there's a chemical reaction happening because of an injury, that is likely to be where the pain is coming from that particular patient is feeling.
Yeah, and it's not really a chemical reaction. It's more of as the tissue breaks down, we look at its structural integrity markers to kind of identify that. And then you look for acidic biomarkers. And these acidic biomarkers tend to irritate the nerves.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really what we're looking for, because the pathophysiological mechanism of back pain is really to have the disc break down, and then the acid then irritates the nerves.
Mm-hmm.
So without the acid, you're not going to have the nerve the nerve irritation, and you're not going to have the pain. So that's really what we're focusing on, is which disc is actually causing the pain.
And you use some artificial intelligence augmented by exactly what you described to locate exactly where that is.
Right. The current algorithm is really what we call an augmented intelligence algorithm. And what that essentially means is we take these biomarkers, they go into 6 very specific ratios. They have various model weights associated with them, and that has all been correlated to back pain based on an invasive gold standard, which is discography. So now if we've correlated to that with this non-invasive, you now have no need to do the invasive procedure, and you get the same information.
Fantastic. Doc, and make sure, folks, you check out Aclarion, ACON, Dr. Jeff Thramann. I appreciate you joining us here today, sir, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.